I love all sorts of things. I love Liverpool Football Club. I love Italian food. I love coffee. And I love driving. But I also love my wife and kids. How does one word sum all that up? Difficult, huh? Of course, Paul and John and Ringo and George said that love was all I needed. But he didn't tell me what that looks like. The Bible has some things to say about love. Paul writes that love is patient and love is kind. It doesn't envy and it doesn't boast. It's not proud and it's not rude. It's not self-seeking and it's not easily angered. It doesn't even keep records of wrongs. It delights in the truth and doesn't delight in evil. Always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And they're great words, but what does love look like? I mean, what does it actually look like? I mean, one famous preacher from the States says that the church absolutely has to be the living truth, the living proof that God is love. But what does it look like? A long time ago, a couple of 100 years, there was a guy, tall, distinguished looking guy, reading his Bible one morning. He just felt God say to him, go buy a slave. Now for him that was the antithesis of what he was comfortable with. Go buy a slave. So being obedient to God and being a good Christian man, he pitches up at a slave auction. And he's waiting for God to prompt him as slave after slave after slave is thrown up on a stage. And then eventually he feels God saying, this girl, this girl. So he starts bidding and he starts bidding over the odds, and people take notice and people take him for a ride, and so they see just how far he'll go. Well, he goes and he goes and he goes, and in the end he buys this young girl who's embarrassed on a slave trying to cover up her nakedness. Anyway, he pays his money and he goes out the back and he gets his certificate, and he goes to this girl and gives the certificate to her and says, my dear, you are free. You're free. And this slave girl, still crying, can't understand, and looks at him and says, what do you mean I'm free? He says, just that, you're free. And she says, well, if I'm free, sir, then let me come to be where you are and let me serve you until the day I die. The guy's name was Abraham Lincoln, of course, a major world player who goes on and plays his part in the emancipation movement. If I am free, let me come to be where you are and let me serve you until my dying day. As we head towards Lent and then from Lent into Easter, our minds are taken back to Calvary, where Jesus, metaphorically perhaps, looks at us all and says, you are free. You're free. And surely our response has to be that if we are free to do whatever we like, our response should be that of the slave girl. Let me come and be where you are and allow me to serve you until my dying day. What does love look like? Well, it looks like service. The world cries out for service. Why not this week be an answer to that cry? In your neighbourhood, in your family, in your office, in your factory, in your town. And as you do so, may God bless you. Have a great week.